Okay folks, today we're going to be doing some pit baking, and we're going to pit bake an entire chicken in my backyard. This is something you can do with your family or your friends, whoever you're holed up with during the, self-quarantine deal. It's pretty simple. You dig a pit, sort of parabolic shaped, and here we have rocks, and then you're going to make a fire and let that turn into coals. Let it burn down until you have nothing but coals. Then you're going to take a few suspension sticks and rest them over the top of your coals so that the chicken does not make direct contact with the coals, whereupon you put your chicken. Then you're going to put a couple of sticks in sort of an X shape over the top of the chicken, and then you're going to lay a bunch of other sticks parallel across those sticks, and then a few more sticks lengthways over the top, almost kind of like a very loose lattice. After that, this is supposed to be a banana leaf. You put like a bunch of banana leaves over the top to make sure that it's nice and tight, almost airtight. And then you're going to cover it with dirt and rocks and a bunch of other stuff. And after that's done, you're going to start another fire on top of that. And that's going to bake your chicken. The whole process of cooking the chicken, to be safe, probably will take about anywhere from an hour to an hour and 45 minutes. This is not a precise cooking method. This is a traditional sort of old school primitive cooking method. So yeah, we'll get outside and we'll walk you through the steps. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my regular fire pit. I went ahead and dug it out about a foot and a half deeper. It's a beautiful day in sunny Tacoma. But you can see that I saved the dirt on this tarp over here, because we're going to use that a little bit later. But you can see that I've got it lined with rocks. And these aren't just regular rocks. These are pretty fine-grained rocks. This one is split. It's been used quite a bit in previous fires. But it's still a viable piece of stone to use for pit cooking. You don't have to line the whole thing completely. You can just pretty much line the bottom. So the next step after you line the bottom of your fire pit is to get a fire going. And I've gone ahead and chopped some wood to get us going. I'm not going to get really into the basics of fire making or anything right now. I'm just going to get a fire going and go from there. Sweet. Okay, so at its core, the fire is roaring pretty good. I put some larger pieces on. That should catch next, and pretty soon we'll have a nice hot fire going. I'll feed it for a while to get those rocks nice and hot, and then we're going to move on to the next step. I think it's also important to note that there were no accelerants used in the making of this fire, and it's really important for your inner fire, the coals and stuff that are going to be in the pit with the chicken, that you use hardwoods, that you don't use coniferous woods. They'll add kind of a funky flavor to your meat. You want something like, in our area, big leaf maple, or if you have oak would be fine, something along those lines for the fire in your fire pit. Sweet, let's move on to the next step. Okay folks, so here's our chicken. I've used a pretty big bird. I decided to brine this one. I let it sit for, it's been like good 5-6 hours, and that's probably enough for our little project here. It's a pretty big one. I'm going to probably use this to feed 2 people over the next 3-4 days. Any of the students that know me know that I eat a lot of meat, so I'll probably eat half of that for dinner. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and prepare the bird, and I'll walk you through the steps for that. You can use whatever roast chicken recipe you want for this. You can do whatever you feel like doing, but I'm just going to do my thing, and you can do yours. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so I've got my herbs chopped. Rosemary, sage, parsley, and thyme, like the song. A little bit of garlic. We've got some lime. We have some good mezcal and some extra virgin olive oil, and all of that's going to get mixed together in this bowl in certain proportions. Let's say like an ounce of oil to an ounce of tequila, and then all the juice of the lime, and then the herbs, and then there will probably be an ounce of this for me, and then that is going to get what we're going to rub that all over the chicken, and then we're going to make a stuffing out of the giblets and some lentils and rice, some jalapeno. So this is going to be a little bit more of like a spicy, fun roasted chicken. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so I've liberally salt and peppered this bad boy inside and out. I rubbed our marinade mixture all over it and on the inside. And I even separated the skin from the breast. That's always a good idea with chicken. Get some oils under there. It's the thickest bit of meat that you're going to have to cook. So putting some salt and pepper directly onto the breast under the skin is always a good idea. And I poured a fair amount of the herb mixture into that area as well. Now we're going to go ahead and prepare the giblets and the lentils and rice, and we're going to stuff this bad boy. All right, so we got our giblets in the pan along with the neck. We're going to brown those up. Make sure they're nice and golden brown and delicious. With a little, I'm using suet for my oil in this case. Sorry for the bad filming here. I'm cooking and filming at the same time, which is, difficult. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and brown these up. And then I'm going to add some onions, garlic, and jalapeno to this. And then I'm going to add our rice, lentils, and everything else. And about a quarter cup of chicken stock. Let it all mix together and reduce. And then that will be the stuffing for our chicken. Okay, so we've got our bird stuffed and trussed. It's looking good. The fire's pretty much ready. We're going to take this thing outside and move into the next stage of our pit roast of a chicken. Be right back. Okay, so this thing is hot, like super hot. See, it's getting nice and smoky. We're just about ready to put the chicken in there. But first, I'm going to take some sticks, and I'm using... I think this is cherry. Yeah, it's cherry. I'm going to lay them down in there, and that's what we're going to rest our chicken on top of, so we don't have to put it directly onto the coals. So I'm going to put about 3 or 4 kind of right like that, just for the chicken to rest on. And then I'll show you the next stage of the build out of this thing. Alright, so see, our chicken is in there. It's rested on top of these sticks, not on top of the coals. And I'm going to go ahead and start the next thing. We're going to take 2 longer sticks and we're going to lay them in an X over the chicken. There's one. Yeah, pull it a little bit further this way, like that. And then one more, like this. And then we're going to sort of like lattice-like lay a bunch of smaller sticks across these this way and that way. And as soon as I'm done with that part of it, I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so you can see it's all covered now in a rough lattice work of fresh green sticks because we don't want these to crackle and burn. In this case, I think I'm using a kind of plum that I have growing on the property. I'm not sure which type it is, but I know it is a plum tree, so they're safe. I left the flowers on because it's spring and I'm not a monster. But I'm going to go ahead and cover the next part of the pit, and you'll see that next. Okay, so I put a significant amount of banana leaves on top of this. I'm using banana leaves because we have, I'd say, they're pretty easily accessible no matter where you are in the world these days. Alright, so we got this whole thing covered in dirt. Except for some of the edges there, I used as much as I could. Pretty much everything that I dug out. And that'll do a pretty good job of keeping a lot of that heat in there with the chicken. But the next step for us is to build a small fire on top of this layer. And it's going to be a pretty small fire. We're not going to go too crazy, but we just want to make sure there's nice even heat over the top of the chicken too. And it'll also help to steam it a little bit quicker. And hopefully we'll be pulling this bad boy out before dark. Alright, so we've got a nice little fire going right over the top of where the chicken is resting. Henry's getting super excited about the chicken. Aren't you, buddy? Careful, bud. And we should be ready to eat in a little bit here, I think. Once this fire burns down and we put everything out, we'll pull the top off of this and we'll see what we got. Henry, go get it. Where's it? Where's the chicken, Henry? Where's the chicken? Find the chicken. Where'd the chicken go, Hen? Where's the chicken? Henry. Okay, so the sun is going down and the top fire has finally gone out. Got a little bit of steam still popping out of the sides. I think this thing is probably done. I'm going to go ahead and take the top layer off. We need several hands to do this, and I've only got myself and my friend Dave. So the reason that we crossed those two original sticks, these two big ones, in an X, is so that two people can hold one side and lift this whole thing right off of the top, and then we'll be able to get at the chicken. So I will report back shortly. Okay, and there it is. One pit-baked chicken. Golden brown and delicious. Got a little bit of ash and stuff all over it, but that's par for the course when you're primitive cooking. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to pull this out of here, cut it up, and I'm going to eat. Talk to you in a bit. So here it is, our primitive pit-baked chicken. Looking good. Got a little rough, a little burnt in a couple spots. But you're cooking over rocks and whatnot, it's not going to be perfect. But I bet you this thing is juicy and delicious in most of the parts. I'm looking forward to eating it later. Okay, so I brought it inside. I got the whole bird cut up and broken down. It's pretty sweet looking. Yeah, some parts of it got a little more done than others, but you know what I mean? You're cooking over rocks. I wouldn't expect it to be perfect. The stuffing looks delightful. And what do you think, dude? You want some? I know you do. I think we're ready to eat. It's time to eat, dude. Let's do it. You ready? We gonna eat? Let's do it. Yeah.